and defenseless as water. It is by faith that we are saved. It is by faith that we are justified. It is by faith that we are brought near God. It is by faith that we walk and we actually live. Faith is that cable that carries us above this world of destruction all the way home to glory. And oh, Satan knows that if he can steal our faith, that cable will snap and we'll fall down. Faith is our jewel. Faith is our joy. Faith is our glory. And the master thief of hell knows that if he can steal our faith, he'll have us conquered. The history of God's children testifies that we have got to hold on to our faith. Why don't y'all know that it was by faith that faith is our fighting tool? Faith is our conquering instrument. And if the devil can steal our faith, we'll be like Samson without his hair. Without our faith, we are defenseless and as weak as water. So you can expect it. If he hadn't done it already, you can expect old Satan to come in and try to steal your faith. Now the text tells us here that he'll do it with diverse temptations. That means many different troubles. During the day of our text, the Christians to whom James was writing were catching it from all different directions. They were catching it from all sides. They were catching it from other nations and catching it from other Jews. And right now, some of us are catching it from more than one direction. That's why we need to put on the whole armor of God, that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Because you see temptation crop up from many different directions. For some of us, money is not a temptation. So Satan don't take you there. But he sends something else. Alcohol may not cause you to shudder. So he sends something else. Drugs may not cause you to get weak in the knees. So he sends something else. Good-looking men and good-looking women may not cause you to sneak out late at night. But there is some spot. Everybody has a weak point. And you see some weak points, and Satan will work to find those weak points. And if you know, right now, some of us are being attacked by Satan from more than one direction. We know from experience that old Nebuchadnezzar will heat that furnace 7 times hotter when he knows that one of God's children is on his way. We know that old Satan will not stop. After taking Job's possessions and killing his children, then he'll come back on him and put sores on him from the crowns of his head to the soles of his feet. Make his wife talk foolishly. Make his friends call him a hypocrite. Dealing with the devil is tough when he gets after your faith. If you're not careful, if you're not very careful, our trials can lead to sin. James warns us of this when he said that word temptation. You see, trouble has a way, a tendency not to sanctify, but to cause us to commit sin. A man who is very likely to become unbelieving during his afflictions, and you know that's a sin. A man is likely to complain and to murmur when he's going through some hard trials, and you know that's a sin. A man just may use the wrong means to get out of his troubles, and you know that's a sin. That's why we should always pray, lead us not into temptation, because our troubles and our trials are accompanied by the temptation to sin. Now there are a few folk here right now that have gone through something tough, and their feet were almost gone. Their steps had well nigh slipped. You can ask David. He said, my feet had almost slipped. when I saw how good the wicked were doing and how they were prospering. He said his feet were almost gone. In other words, David said he almost slipped. There were times when temptations come on us and they come all of a sudden. So, so, but for some of you, you may not know what I'm talking about. Sometimes temptations and troubles come all of a sudden, sort of like that person who will shoot and then ask questions. When Job's children were eating the other day over at the eldest brother's house, the wind suddenly came in off the wilderness and brought bereavement to Job. While the cattle were plowing, the sheep grazing, in a moment, fire fell from the sky. Robbers came over the hill, and everything that Job had was gone. Old Job didn't even have time to catch his breath. You see, when the devil gets after your faith, he'll make it hard for you to hold on. But James says here in our text, in spite of what Satan does to you, in spite of what you came here for that's got you burdened you down, James says, go on and have church. He says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. When Satan fires his deadliest arrows at you, when he fires his deadliest arrows and you were able to block it with the shield of faith, that will prove something about you. Now, talk is cheap. Talk is real cheap. We need trials every now and then to test us just as much as we need divine food to feed us. In the old Ark of the Covenant, there were two things placed close together. They were the pot of manna and the rod. And God will feed his children. But at the same time, God is not like us modern day parents. God don't spare the rod. Hebrews 12:8 tells us that if you be without chastisement, whereof all of us are partakers, then you are illegitimate children and not true sons. James 15:1-2 says, Jesus says that John 15:1-2, Jesus says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he prunes so that they may bear more fruit. I found out if you handle those trials in the right way, that will show something about you to the world and that you really do mean business. You'll never know what the Lord can do for you until you have some trials and some troubles. But if you've been down, and I'm not just talking about waiting till payday, if you've been down, way down, in the valley of despair, and somehow you were able to hold on, that to hold on to God's unchanging hand, you know. And you don't need nobody to tell you. You know. You didn't read it in a self-help book. You know. You don't need the choir to tell you. You know. Can't nobody talk you out of it. You know. Because deep down, you can feel the Spirit moving. You know. And you know. You know that God is real. You'll find out that you are weak, but you'll also find out that he is strong. You'll find out that you are weak, but you'll find out that God is mighty. You'll find out that you do need him every day and every hour. But you'll find out that he'll be right there. And see, that's the good thing about God. He'll be right there. Yes, he will. I can say that. Yes, he will. I can say that. Yes, he will. In my life, I can say, yes, he will. He'll be right there. When things ain't going well for me, yes, he will be right there. When I'm wondering what I'm going to do with it, yes, he will be right there. When you go through many different temptations, you'll find out whether you really got some religion or whether you've been dressing up coming to church on Sunday mornings. Then during your temptations, you can show Satan and the world the purity of your motives. That's what Job did. The devil took everything that Job had. The devil told God that Satan just serving you for pocketbook religion. That Satan just serving you for what he can get out of you. That Job is just serving you for because you put a hedge around him and can't nothing harm him. In other words, Satan said, Job. In other words, Satan said, Job is just serving you, God, because you've been good to him. But if you remember, Satan took it all. He took everything that Job had. But Job stayed there and he said, when I came here, I came naked. And when I leave here, I'm gonna leave the same way. He said, the Lord gave and the Lord taketh away. He said, blessed be the name of the Lord. You see, when you can bless God when you lose your job, when you can bless God when friends turn their backs on you, when you can bless God when the tide is turned against you, you show this world that you really do mean business and that your religion is real. And sometimes I've had to sit down and ask the Lord. James says here, count it. Maybe the hard way I found out that it's easier to spend money than it is to make money. Somebody else may have found that out too. That is, it is easier for your outgo to be greater than your income. But see, you got to know how to handle the books. You got to know how to take your disbursements and incomes. But if you've been trained in it, you're able to handle it. So James wants to know that you've got to have some experience. You've got to have some experience in order to be able to sit down with a whole lot of troubles, a whole lot of disappointments, a whole lot of trials, and a whole lot of heartaches. Sit down and somehow you come up with a substantial gain. Everybody can't do that. You've got to have some experience to be able to look back on your yet spared life, see how God has brought you through, and see how God made you better. You've got to have some experience to be able to count it all joy. You've got to go sometimes through the school of hard knocks to be able to. Then you sit down and add it up. See how the trying of your faith makes patience. That takes experience. That's the type of experience that will not complain to remain calm in a crisis. Takes a lot of experience. Takes a lot of disappointments, church. Takes a multitude of bereavements to be able to get down on your knees in the Garden of Gethsemane and say, not my will, but thy will be done. Only after a lot of talk will that young man do right on his own. Only after a lot of crying will that baby be weaned from the breast or from the bottle. Step by step. We have got to learn to stop disagreeing with God and trying to have our way all the time. To be able to pray for folk that mistreat you. To be able to try not to hurt somebody just because they hurt you. The grace of God has to work in us during our trials to make us better. Then, when you can count it all joy, you're ready for spiritual promotion. If you can count it all joy, you're ready for spiritual promotion. Listen to what James says. That ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. A man may work long, hard hours to get a fine home, but in the process, he loses his health. What good is a new home if you can't enjoy it? A man, you may work long, hard hours to get a freezer full of food, but in the process, you lose your appetite. What good is a freezer full of food if you can't eat it? I found out that our health is worth more than wealth. We found out that our honor is more important than our education. The best thing that can happen to us is not that we become richer, but that we become better. The best gains for us are not or for us are truth, purity, and holiness. And if the trying of your faith makes us better, that's exactly